Welcome back to Movified. I'm your host, Mark Hirschi, owner of Salmon's Moving and Stores located in beautiful British Columbia. And today I have a guest here that is not really in the moving game, but he is in the business world. And if you haven't heard of him, you definitely need to Google and look him up. It is Lance Bachmann with oneseo.com, but also he is the digital lion. He has a #1 bestseller, All In, which is an amazing book to read if you haven't already. And also was the founder of YellowPages.com. But he is in a whole totally different space now. He has the, am I saying it right? The LB Capital Group as well too. And a whole list of businesses that he helps thrives and figures out their exit plan. And maybe give yourself like a better intro than I do. I feel like I always shit the bed with it. So, but welcome to the show, Lance.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Mark. I've sold multiple companies now to private equity firms. I love what I do. LB Capital is all my money. So people sometimes think we're a private equity firm. It's not. I have no investors. It's all my money. And you're right. I take small organizations somewhere between the $3 and $8 million mark, and I take controlling interest. I take 50% of the organization. I scale it, grow it, and sell it to a private equity firm. They get a check. I get a check. And the model's been great. Done it 4 times now. I love it. We have 11 companies in our portfolio right now. And, even though I'm primary in roofing now, I still own 2 technology companies. I think you're a technology company first. I don't care what the trade is, whether it's moving, roofing, concrete, HVAC, it's all the same. It's just changing out the widget and changing out a few things. But the core business principles all match each other. And once you get dialed that in, every company grows.
Yeah, it's a great way to like kind of just jump right into the fact of you're saying each company is more like a digital asset. A lot of guys, we're still pushing paper and pen. I remember when I bought this company 6 years ago, everything was on a piece of paper. I mean, I would walk in here and like the sales girl was like, "Oh yeah, waiting for my appointments." And it's like, here's a little appointment piece of paper. And I'm like, guys, this is like 2018. Like, what's happening right now? Why is this even happening? Walk over to the dispatch book. Like there was a dispatch book, right? Like you got guys that are looking over the papers. If something burnt down, you're not going to see anything. So, but there's so many CRM systems coming out every day. Was there a particular, when you talk about like each company has a digital essence, like a proper playbook in a sense of what type of software they should be using? Like, what are you looking for when you walk into a company that is doing that? Because there's probably companies that are doing 3 million and they're still using some weird technology, or everything's like an Outlook from like 1992 or something. So
I use Service Titan for everything. People think I own Service Titan. I don't. Service Titan is a $1 billion plus evaluation company that's ready to go public. And what happened I bought an HVAC company, partnered with a guy. We went from 2 to 12 to 18 million, less than 2 years, sold as a private equity firm, all off of Service Titan KPIs. I never was an HVAC person. I never sold HVAC. And all I did was look at the marketing KPIs, the salespeople's KPIs, the technicians' KPIs. And I ran the business that way. And obviously through the P&Ls. P&Ls are here. I'm constantly looking at P&Ls. And then we sold that. Then when I went to roofing, it's funny, Tom Howard, who's now my partner at Lee's, was not my partner at all. And he's on the board of Service Titan. I was like, listen, I need Service Titan to go to roofing. He's like, they're not going to do it. So he said, I'll get you signed up, stay under the radar. So we built it out ourselves. And I was using it wrong. And I took Cherry Roofing from 2 to 13 million in my first year of roofing, all retail, no insurance, no nothing. Sold that to Vertex. And then I was like, okay, well, roofing is a lot easier than HVAC, in my opinion, because it's just, in an HVAC, you might have 4,000 different things, instruments, things that could happen. You need a technician. In roofing, most roofing, it comes down to about 20 pieces of material. So it's a very simplified. So I said, I'm going on roofing. I said, I saw the roofing industry as a whole wasn't very professional. I think people were trying to clean that up. I still think it's more of a wild, wild west shit show with some of these people. But I went and bought a roofing conference. I've now partnered with, I think, 8 or 9 different roofing companies. I have 2 full roll-ups where I actually was partners with 3 companies, 4 companies. I rolled them up to one. I just did a second one out in Pittsburgh, where most people don't even understand how roll-ups work. But we're doing incredible, and we're all profitable, no debt across the board, and we're growing. I mean, a very fortunate, very lucky person, Mark.
It's amazing, especially
platform.
Well, and so like, when you look at Service Titan as a whole, what, like, not to, or I'm not making a buck off celebrating Service Titan, and you're probably not either, but what was it about that program that was going to really be the forefront of like every company that you're going to purchase going, okay, like this is the foundation, this is what we need to run with to make it work?
Well, it was simple for me because I looked at everything. I looked at Acculinks, Job Nimbus. I mean, I remember I owned One SEO, a digital marketing agency I sold to a private equity firm. So I understand technology very well, right? So I always say if it has to be manual, it's not scalable, it's done, right? Manual, not scalable, it's done. Service Titan gives you I'm not saying Service Titan's perfect. And people are like, oh, you don't say a bad word about Service Titan. Yes, I do. I was just out there with Ari. He's one of my friends now, right? But it's just not perfect, but the good way outweighs the bad, right? The good outweighs the bad. And I believe it's the only technology that can take you from the front end, the marketing piece, all the way through the sales piece to the customer journey, to then the commission, sales, pay, callback, review, everything, gross profit. I have a one-stop shop to see every metric I need to see how my business is going. Acculinks couldn't give me that. A lot of things became manual. Job Nimbus couldn't. Some of these other roofing CRMs that they just don't. And people like say Service Titan's expensive. I say it's an investment, right? I'm not a technology company, even though I say I am. I have no proprietary technology. I'll let Service Titan do that, and I'll pay a premium for it because I don't want to figure out how to develop and code and have all these things on my staff when that's not my core business. Let it be their core business, and I just use their tools to fight the fight and grow my companies.
Oh, that's great. Now, the fact that you came from a tech company at One SEO, and you just sold that last year, I believe, right? You came originally from like really super humble beginnings. And it was really interesting listening to your story because you also were in the foster system.
Yes,
for a short period of time.
Group homes, locked up. I mean, you name it, I've been through it.
Yeah,
and blessed to walk through it.
Well, and it's interesting when I hear that kind of story because it totally resonated with myself. My wife and I, when we first got married, we fostered children. That came from like troubled situations. We did that for about 8 years, and we had a boy that we always said, this kid's either going to be in jail or he's going to be a lawyer, right? And there's a certain knack between kids in that situation where most of them are fighters, and they either want to make something of themselves or they're going to just be locked up forever. In your situation, you are going through that, you're back and forth. And I bet you I don't want to go into a big, long detail because if you want to listen to your origin story, you're like blasted off so many different podcasts of who you were and how you started and where you became. But if I go back into your 20s and when you started getting a job over at Verizon and started with the YellowPages, you were a real strong hustler in sales, but what made it big when it came down to going digital for YellowPages?
I think, my childhood definitely, I say to my son, right? And my son doesn't want to hear it. My son wants to be a great wrestler. And I tell him, like, if you look at my farm, it's not realistic, right? It's a $10 million estate, right? Like, and it's just not the real world, right? And you have to suffer, right? You have to suffer to truly be great at anything. I just believe that you have to suffer, right? And I think you have to be extreme to be elite. Like, there are 2 things I say to people. People are like, what do you mean? Like, there has to be pain and suffering for you to go where you want to go, and you have to be extreme to be elite. And when I got my chance at Donnelly Directory, I took it. And I said, know what? I lied to get here. I lied on my resume to get here. I made it through the background check to get here, and I'm not messing it up. And I became their number 1 salesperson in the country. And I was extreme. I worked day, I worked night, I hustled. and I became elite there. And I speak with a slur, right? But I'm very aware of who I am. And I truly believe if you outwork people, and you get older, you say you start working smarter. I'm 50 now, right? But I still work 12, 15 hours every single day. Besides coaching my kids, I work. So I'm just a believer in a lot of people make excuses. Not being rude, someone told me this business thing's really hard, but yet they were just away on a trip with their friend. And before that, they were away a week before with their family. No, that's you not committed and being obsessed, right? I think when I had my chance in sales to answer your question directly, I ran with it, and I just felt blessed every single day that I had the opportunity to make money.
Hey everyone, it's Matt from Moving Letters AI. I'm super excited to announce our newest product, The Simple Note. The Simple Note is an extremely simple, handwritten product to get you into more homes at an affordable rate. Right now, you can get 500 of these to targeted, newly listed homes for only $8.95. Guys, check out the link down below. Sign up today and join the handwritten revolution. Let's go.
Do you find though when you talk to guys, and I don't want to go into the excuses, right? Like I always I always look back and going, okay, well, in my 20s, I was hustling it. I was trying to build my business. I was trying to make it grow and everything else. And then you kind of get married. You start having kids. You're kind of taking a step back because you're trying to balance, life and work and trying to make it work. What would you say to someone that is trying to get into like the moving industry, but they are maybe already married, they have kids, they're trying to have like a new look on life, right? They maybe were just like an employee of a company, but they want to branch off and do their own moving business now. And I found it very simpler before. We were talking about like roofing, where it's like a simplified 20 pieces. Well, moving is like you need a truck and two guys, right? Like as long as you have strong hands and a good back, you're good to go. And there's your business. But like, what would you say to someone like that says, well, look, Lance, like I don't know where you do it for 15 hours a day, but like how am I supposed to spend time with my kids and how am I supposed to try and run my business and make sure my wife is happy at the same time? Like, are you just saying, dude, like these are excuses? Like, what are some key things that you should be telling these guys?
I have a difference of opinion, right, when it comes to that. Like, my wife knows what she married, and my wife has the right to leave whenever she wants. But she's never going to break my soul for her soul, and I'm never going to break my wife's soul for my soul. So we just believe that, right? Like, my wife is a hippie. You would think she smokes weed. She does not care about money at all. She would be happy with me in a townhouse, drinking a glass of wine and eating a piece of cheese and cracker. That's just who my wife is, right? One of our first dates, like she wanted to go in a Jeep with the top off and it was raining. Like that's just very different, whatever. But it's probably why I'm still with her, right? She knows what she married. I'm going to work every day. The only thing, I missed my first year. And when I'd say to that guy in the moving business that wants to start his own business, you can miss your kids' things today to be able to see everything tomorrow, right? And that's what I did. My first 5 years, I missed a lot of LJ stuff. And listen, people say, do you regret it? Like my wife used to drive him to the office so I could see him for an hour. Every day my wife would bring my son to the office just so I could see my son. And then he slept with me at night whenever I got home. Do I regret it? No, because I changed my bloodline. Like I have generational wealth. I coach all my boys in football. I don't miss a practice. I coach them all in wrestling. I'm there nonstop, but I get up. And when people say they don't have time, I say, you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning? And they're like, no, I need to sleep. No, you don't. Go to bed at 9:30, 10, put the alcohol down. I drink, but I choose when I drink. Put the alcohol down, go to bed, get up at 4. You'd be surprised how much work you get done between 4 and 7:30 in the morning. And you probably get a good hour workout and still get more productive during that time than the rest of your day. And people make excuses. And I don't listen to people. When people tell me why their business isn't growing or failing or this and that, I always look at them in the back of my mind. I'm like, you're the loser. You start telling yourself those things, they're going to happen. Like it ends and begins with you. You're either a winner or you're a loser. It's that simple.
What is your morning routine? Like other than waking up at 4 in the morning, like what do you do?
I get up between 4 and 5 every day. I immediately walk down. I jump into the chili goat or ice bath. I have a chili goat outside. I go ice bath downstairs. I shock my body. I wake up. I work for an hour to 2 hours answering emails, doing looms, looking at numbers. everything I have to do for all my business units. Then I work out for an hour to an hour and 10 minutes. And then I work the rest of the day. And then I see my kids before they go to school. I work the rest of the day, and I'm home every night for practice. And then I'm in bed by 9:30 normally every single night.
And do you do that a lot when you travel as well too? Like, do you try and have the same consistency when you're out doing like speaking events or traveling for business?
Absolutely. Like I don't like one night maybe I'll go with my CEO and a few guys downstairs to the bar and have a drink or two, but I'm normally in bed by 9:30, 10.
Right. When you were working at Verizon, what led you into the YellowPages? Like, what year is this happening when you were starting to realize there's like a whole new digital world coming out there? Like when Google started kicking in, like I
kind of fell into it. So at Verizon, I was the number one salesperson for superpages.com. A guy by the name of Bob DeFord promoted me to be a district sales manager and follow him down to Philadelphia. He was getting promoted to AVP. I wanted to be the general manager of the Philadelphia division. I was the number one district sales manager in the country, my numbers. And he told me because I speak with a slur, people wouldn't follow me. And I literally left inside of probably 2-3 weeks. I went to YellowPages.com. They were recruiting me. I met Neil Salvage and Charles Stubbs. They offered me the job, and I just started ripping people out of Verizon to come work for me at YellowPages.com and grew it from 0 to $159 million in revenue outside sales in less than 3 years. 20 different offices I opened. I had a fucking chip on my shoulder like you've never seen to prove everyone wrong. And, I thank that guy. If I ever saw him, I'd hug him and thank him. I wouldn't humiliate him. I wouldn't say, look at me now. I'd thank him, right? Like without that moment, without that disrespect, without that, here's a guy I did so well. I helped him get his career he wanted. And then he literally just pulls down his pants and shit down my throat and never worked on me on speaking, never tried to help me out, never said, hey, listen, I'm going to be getting to this next level. Let me make sure. Where at AT&T, Danny Deal, Charles Stubbs, all these guys, Neil Salvage, went out of their way to help coach me and make me better. So I'm fortunate. I've seen every walk of life in corporate America, and that's how I wanted to be YellowPages.com. And just kind of like I always say, God takes you to the storm that you can walk through, but most people don't understand that you can actually make it through the storm. It's only temporary.
That's great. What when you were leaving YellowPages and started the oneSEO.com, what made you do that jump? Did you just realize that, hey, I could do this whole thing on my own? Everybody's kind of doing SEO. Like, did you like pull like a team together and go, okay, let's do this?
No, there were so many things that happened there. I love YellowPages.com, AT&T. I can't say a bad word about them. They taught me so much, multiple things, some personal stuff. My brother, 2 years to the day, he died of heroin. I wasn't happy living in California. There's just a lot of things. I never wanted to go build what I was doing now. I kind of just got into this building companies, and I love it, and I love winning, and I'm obsessed with it, and I enjoy it. I never have to work again in my lifetime if I don't want to. I don't say that to impress you, but to impress upon you. The warrior that wants to be out on that battlefield is the most dangerous warrior. And, I love what I do every single day. And I'm very fortunate. It kind of just happened. I didn't expect oneSEO to get as big as it did. I knew I would be the number one digital marketer in the country. I didn't expect to have the number one digital firm in the country. And in my opinion, it was when I was there. And I still think they're a great agency. And I still think they're great at what they do.
So you exit out of this company. I remember hearing on one of your podcasts, one of the things that you were really strong on was, with every paycheck and everything you did, you would pull about 20% to save up and put savings. Like, what was happening during your 30s, leading up to your 40s in your business? Because obviously, you got the digital marketing agency, you're probably banking some money. I'm assuming you're married, looking at your, figuring out your profile. Not married at that all yet?
At that time I wasn't. I've only been with my wife for about 13 years now. I'm 50. During my 20s and 30s, people don't realize, when I was 35, 15 years ago, I was just borderline being a millionaire. I was just making it make sense. And then 40, and then literally probably where I really made a lot of my wealth started about 5 years ago. After all these years of grind, where I made real chunks of money, right? Real chunks of money. And a lot of people have that misconception, he's always been a family guy. No, I was actually a big party guy, loved to drink, loved to go out. I was with a great group of guys that, are still great guys that I miss and love at times, but I can't go do that and do this. It's impossible. You can't have both lives, right? It's just, it does not work. You have to pick one or the other. And both answers are correct. Like I tell people, there's nothing wrong with the guy that wants to go out and enjoy themselves and that's their life. And for me, I knew I couldn't do this, right? So, no, I actually probably had my most successful years, the last 5 years of my life, to be honest with you.
Mover Marketing AI is changing the game for moving companies with their innovative digital marketing solutions. I've been working with them on my SEO and website, and the results are incredible. My online presence has improved, making my site both visually appealing and highly visible to potential customers. But that's not all they do. Mover Marketing AI offers a full range of services, from engaging social media management to robust branding, advertising, and public relations. They help you build a strong, trustworthy brand. If you're ready to elevate your moving business, I highly recommend Mover Marketing AI. They've been a game changer for me, and they can be for you too. Thanks to Mover Marketing AI for sponsoring this episode and for their support.
Do you find it sometimes, does it happen by chance or by the way you have built your company to fall into this like group of boys club? Like, you got the Bradley, you got the Andy Elliott, you got all these guys now that you see in these different marketing. I see that you guys all like sometimes run into each other, you hang out, you're always at different speaking events. Is it, you always say like you are the people you hang out with, right? And, these guys all have this $100 billion mentality. They want to hustle. They want to grow. They want to build this network and have this wealth behind them. Would you say that's something that people should aspire to want to be to? Like, you just before we were talking about, there's these guys that were drinking and these are the kind of guys I used to party with and have a good time with. It's not sustainable to hang out with those guys. I have friends like that too, but I try and align myself with other like-minded individuals. Like, was there a point in your life where you're like, wow, okay, I went to this event or I met these guys. They've taught me to say, ooh, I should invest in here. This is what I should be doing. And I've kind of ran with that pack ever since.
I mean,
or like,
I'm not a boys club type person because I get along with everyone, if that makes sense. So like I'm friends with, yes, Bradley. I'm friends with Andy Elliott. I'm friends with Tommy Mello. I'm friends with Victor Rancourt. Like I'm friends with everyone. Like I'm just that guy. Right? I'm not a boys. Even when I was in high school, like I was never a boys club person. I hung out with Mike Ortman. I hung out with Seth Dunn. They were my two best friends. I hung out with everybody else. Right? There was just never, it didn't matter. I believe you have to change the people in the room. That I do believe. Who you hang out with. If you're hanging out with guys that all work 8 to 5 jobs, you're probably going to work 8 to 5 jobs. Listen, cops all only hang out with cops, right? Firefighters only hang out with firefighters. Most school teachers only, like entrepreneurs hang out with entrepreneurs, right? And as you grow, there's levels to this shit. And the more successful you get, the more people hate you. Like people, like there was a guy in my house here Saturday. He was telling me, he's like, man, Lance, people hate you. They tell me all these bad things about you. They follow you on Instagram, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, I stick up for you all the time. He's like, you're the nicest guy. You're down to earth. You coach these kids. He's like, but they follow you on social media. They see this one version of you. I said, never stick up for me again. He's like, what? I'm like, I don't care. If I wouldn't take advice from these fucking people, why do I care about their opinion?
Right. Totally.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and you're going to... They always say like the bigger you are, the more haters you're going to get. And then you always know that you've made it when you have more people hating on you.
Remember this, no matter what you decide, someone isn't going to like it on either side or whoever. So do what the hell you want to do.
Hanging out with these guys and, and being around really successful entrepreneurs and business individuals. What are some of the key things that you've learned, over the way that really are something to look out for? Like if this is what you want to do, this is how you want to succeed, these guys are what you need to do.
Well, I think all successful people are disciplined. They have routines. I don't think the most successful people are the brightest people because I know I'm not. And that's a fact. And I know some of those guys you mentioned, they ain't the sharpest people. They're not like, they ain't Elon Musk's, right? Like, but these guys are all disciplined. They work hard. they know where they're going, and they're driving to it, and they're going to run you over. Like, I'm going to run through the brick wall if you tell me to run through the brick wall for another ounce of success, They all have business coaches. I have a coach. I think it's important. I actually use Sean Michael McCrane for my mental coach. And people are like, oh my God, Lance, you're so positive. You're so strong. And why would you have a mental coach? I'm like, it doesn't matter. You need a reset. You need a mental reset. That's what they have. And they have belief in themselves. Everyone believes, like, if you don't believe in yourself, who else is going to believe in you?
Yeah, for sure.
And they don't make excuses. I've never heard any of the people or anyone, I've never heard any winner ever make an excuse. I was just on my leadership team today, and there was an issue, and I said, it starts and ends with me, and I apologize, everyone. This lands at my doorstep, and I'll fix it.
What do you say to the guys that have, a sales team? Well, let me reframe this question. A lot of the times where you've seen, you buy businesses that are, at a good number, and you want to blow them up even stronger. And you walk into a business, sure, everything looks really good, but you realize that some of these salespeople that have worked for the company maybe for 10, 15 years, they are stagnant. They are like, okay, good, I'm very comfortable, right? I'm making good commission. I'm doing really good in my job. And in order to go to the next step, like, is it fire, see you later? Is it being really hard on KPIs? Like, what would you do to motivate a sales team that's become completely stagnant? Would you blame the leader? Like, what would you be doing if you walk in the door?
The leader's fault. Listen, they're doing it in politics right now. Inflation's high. It's Joe Biden's fault. It ain't Trump's fault. It's Joe Biden. Listen, in business, politicians are the only ones that get away with bad performance, and they get rehired. In the business world, any CEO that has a bad performance is terminated, right? It's always the leader's fault. It's no one else's fault. When people say my salespeople are shitty, have you coached them up? Are you hiring correctly? Are you showing what's in it for them? Are you with them? Are you building relationships with them? It's never, and listen, you're going to have some people that just don't want to go on the journey with you, right? And that's different. But if you have a whole team of people that are underperformers, it's probably and listen, you got to change the culture, the mindset. I say this to everyone all the time. My boat is going across the ocean. When I get there, I don't know who the fuck's going to be on it. Because if you ain't with me, you're against me, I'm throwing you off my boat.
But what about these guys that are maybe doing sales? They're doing pretty good. Like, they're doing good, right? Because they are still killing it in sales.
Then why, if someone's happy, right, and they're a B player for you, and they're happy being B, and that's where they want to be, and they're not hurting your organization, I have a different mindset. Let them be a B player. Let them make their money. And let them enjoy their life. Not everybody wants to be a multimillionaire. Not everyone wants. I knew I was going to be a multimillionaire in high school, or I'd spend the rest of my life in prison. I knew one of those two things would happen. I'd be a multimillionaire. I'd be in prison the rest of my life. It doesn't matter which way I wanted to go.
So if you're looking at someone that, as a business, so even though I'm in the moving industry, let's just say I really wanted to take my $10 million company and I want it to now be like 20, 30 million, to have a good, strong exit strategy so I can buy, sell, start something else, or buy a couple other more businesses and go from there. What are you looking at when I meet up with you and I go, okay, Lance, come on, I needed a strong partner in my business. What are you looking at to me going, Mark, okay, I'm going to break it down to you. This is what I need from you, or this is the type of person I want to be a business partner with. What are those key elements?
A, do we have chemistry, number one, right? So everyone flies into LB Capital. We spend some time together. Do I feel like I can trust you? You're going to be my partner, right? Number two, are you going to take direction? I'm going to give you an example. Nice guy out in Arizona, he had a nice business. And I didn't do business with him because I just said to him nicely, I don't think you're going to comply. I don't think you're going to listen to me. And it will become a nightmare when you don't, because I'm 50 years old. I'm too old for this shit. I'm not arguing with you. Makes sense? It's just not going to happen. And you understand, I'm handing you a check when we sell this company for millions and millions of dollars. So why would I go bang my head, have to take Advil every day to go hand you a check for millions and millions of dollars when I'm already good? Makes sense? So I look and say, are people going to listen, do what we say, run the playbook, be positive? I look for people that don't drink much. If you're a big drinker, it's off the table. Any drugs is off the table. You cheat on your wife, off the table. And listen, I'm not a perfect man. I've done this shit, right? I've been there. So like, I don't judge. I just am at the point now, I want to do business with people that have the same core values as me. And I like, right? Like, you get to a certain point in life where you're like, I don't need this shit. And I always say to people, there's no difference between somebody with 100 million net worth and 200 million net worth, except for $100 million. They're not living a lifestyle difference. They're going to go eat at any restaurant they want. They're going to go do anything they want to do. If they want to fly private, they can fly private. So for me, as I keep scaling, it has to be with the people I want to scale with and I see myself around. I know it sounds crazy, but totally different.
No, and it totally makes sense because I mean, you well, like you said, you're 50. You don't need the shit if you don't care about that person and want to see them succeed, but also you're making something out of it as well too.
Of course, it's a win for me, a win for them, but I'm not going to build the business. I don't buy people's businesses. I partner with them. So no one gets a check. We only get a check when we sell.
Yeah.
I've never given anyone any Nick money when I partnered with them.
So what is the play then? Once you see that, it's this is who I am. I'll take 50% of your company, but at the end we're going to see it succeed.
Yes, and then all my resources, playbook, accounting, marketing, everything gets put in, installed into the company, sales, systems, processes. We have the whole playbook when we start to enroll, and every company grows very fast.
What is when someone talks to you and says, okay, well, look, Lance, I'm interested in buying small businesses. Like we were talking just before the show started, I've always been a type of guy that hasn't been like, oh, I want to start a moving company from the ground up. I didn't come from a moving background. My background was marketing and branding, and I kind of got thrown into it in the mix. But I always believed in like taking a smaller company, growing it, building it, really giving that hustle in. But I've always tried to keep it separate, where other companies go, what would you say is better as a business owner? Because you have multiple roofing companies, and would I say, okay, I want to buy different moving companies in different areas and keep their names? Or a lot of guys say, okay, I'm going to just do an acquisition and then I'm going to blend it into my business name and have just one name and multiple locations. Is there like a better way to do it, or
there's no better way? You got to look at the GMB, how many reviews, how much organic traffic's coming to that name. I'll give you an example: Munns, Ruber, and American Best Builders all rolled up to be Munns. As we saw, Rubert's name was still strong down in South Jersey area, down the shore, and how much we kept his name, even though he's under Munns. It's just DBA doing Ruber, and we didn't want to lose the name. We didn't want to lose his core values. We didn't want to lose the traction they had. We thought it was going to hurt us as a business, and we didn't do it. So I think everything's step by step. But now I just took two other companies, rolled them into Planet Roof. Planet Roof was the big company out in Pittsburgh, and I took Link Roofing and my Pittsburgh Roofing, and now they all went on the Planet Roofing. Both those brands will go away. So everything is situational. I tell people there is no, you got to do it this way, you got to do it this way. When you hear people talk with definities in business, the only definitive that you need to have in business is have a positive P&L. Outside of that, how you get there's multiple ways to skin a cat.
What are some areas that people should focus on moving into 2025 that would want to say, hey, okay, I have XYZ company, but maybe I want to branch off into something else. Like maybe I want to have my own, Lance Bachman, the LB Capital Group for myself. Like what would be the steps that someone would have to take to go, okay, start with my holding company or LLC company, kind of work my way to buy a couple of different businesses. Like, what did you do? Because I mean, you look at, so no one saw that. I got the shoulder shrug. It's like 5 years ago.
There's levels to this shit, right? Like I tell people that, like, now when a guy says to me, and some guy said to me, he came to my shop tour. He's like, Lance, I'm doing exactly what you're doing, right? I said, oh, you are? He goes, yeah, I'm doing exactly what you're doing. So how many companies do you own? He goes, one. I go, how many companies you've ever sold? None. I looked at him. I said, son, I appreciate you're 36 years old or 34 years old, whatever it was. I said, you ain't doing what I'm doing. I said, the only thing you're doing that I'm doing is breathing fucking oxygen right now. I said, that's the problem with people that are delusional. There's levels to this. And there's a lot of bullshit artists out there that have never sold a company, have never had success, and are out there trying to grab people part of their companies and shares. And I tell all business owners, look at that person's resume, look at their net worth, make them show you a personal financial statement, make them show you their bank accounts. Yeah, I'll show anyone my accounts, my P&Ls, anyone. Like I'll show you, boom, like anyone, boom. Like, and I'll show you the impression, but boom. And I hope you block over the number, but you can see that's just one account right there with $11 million in it, right?
Right.
Most people can't do that. How many people do you know could truly do that, Mark?
Yes, barely any. And
So,
that's
like,
and
that's where, like, that's one of my accounts. This is one. And so when people say shit, I say there's levels to it. So first, take your first company, scale to the best you can, maximize the P&L, sell it, right? Or bring other ones under that you with that, so you have a massive sale, and then go do it over and over and over again. But get one under your belt. I have 4. Get one at least before you try it and branch out. That's with one SEO. I thank God the first 8 years I didn't own any other companies, and I think that's why I did so well.
You didn't own any other companies. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you really heavily focused in that one company.
And then Shock IT came on board. My partner Scott, it was a one SEO client, and that's kind of spiraled into other things. But yeah, I mean, if you can't master the one you got, how are you going to master the next one?
Well, and that's where, it's really interesting when we originally were talking about service titans, and then you're talking always about this playbook, right? Like, is it hands down when you look at taking a company, here's the fundamentals, here's an easy step-by-step playbook to just be a copy and paste? Like, really, I mean, the essence is for businesses to be reproduced. It doesn't matter what type of business it is, but as long as you have a proper playbook and away you go.
Every business is, think about this. Name one business that you don't need a customer, that you don't need to fulfill something, and you don't need to make money. Name one business.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Prisons are business now, right? 80% of prisons are owned privately. They're customers.
Are they really?
Oh yeah. That's why I hate the prison system. Yeah, they're privately held by guys like me. I don't own any because I think it's fucking criminal, but that's a whole different conversation, right? But yeah, their job.
Wow, that is a tangent that I'd love to go down. That's crazy. I did not know that.
Their job is not to rehabilitate people. Their job is to keep people in prison. No one invests in a business that they want an empty seat.
Right.
Like, you hope people move. Like right now, you're hoping interest rates drop. The more people buy homes, the more.
100%.
Like, it's just that simple. Like, it's so easy for me to see. If you follow the playbook in business, it all starts the same. You have to have a customer, lead to speed, customer service, take care of them, collect money, make sure you're profitable. I mean, it's really, in this scale, you need systems and processes. I mean, people overthink it. And that's why I think I do so well in roofing and IT and HVAC and all these other industries, because I've never been in them. I've never been in someone's home, never sold them anything. I manage from a P&L and just pure common sense.
Well, and that's something also too where I'd like to touch on, because your strength is exactly what you just said. Like, you're looking at numbers, you're checking out the P&L statements, you can read people really well. And then there's obviously, like any business, you need certain key people to make it work. Have you always been looking at it when, even at the one SEO, where I need this type of partner in place to do it? Or am I looking at a family member? Like, what were some of the key fundamentals that, led you to go, okay, in order for me to grow, I'm going to need to partner with this type of person, or like this type of role in their business? Because to have another Lance right beside each other, sometimes it might not work, right?
It's normally not going to work if you have someone identical like you. Two personalities are listen, my wife is the opposite of me, and that's why it works. Right. And I think Joe Lynn, my CFO, is the opposite of me. Bill, my CEO, is very similar to me, but he has his own stick on things after 22 years together now. I think, one SEO is a bad representation of the businessman I was, because no one ever teaches you. School is for fools. And I say that but I'm serious. They don't teach you how to scale a business. They don't tell you how to relate to people. They don't tell you how to borrow money from the banks. They don't tell you how to leverage debt. They
teach you to be an employee.
They do. They teach you to be an employee. That's exactly what they teach you. And so my thing is, One SEO, I made so many millions and millions of dollars of mistakes. So many. Like I look back, I could throw up at this point. But I'm glad I went through it.
Give me one of them.
Huh?
Give me one of them.
One of the biggest ones I made was we never prepared to sell. Like I always ran it as a lifestyle business. I was using my money instead of putting it back in the scale. I mean, I was making millions of dollars a year, putting it in my pocket, living this lavish life where I wish I would have just stayed and never did it. But you live and you learn, right? Now I take no money out of any of my companies. I put it all back in. And people are like, well, you don't need it, Lance. Well, no, who wants to get up every single day and doesn't get a paycheck Friday? Right? You know how much money you have, you want to, right? I don't, right? So like I suffer for success because I know if I don't take money out of these businesses, they'll scale that much faster. Suffer for success to scale.
Is that why you generally when you look at somebody to be partner on, you always say that they almost need to be hitting that rock bottom, or they come from that recovery mentality or just like a really shitty upbringing because they want to succeed than someone that grew up in a middle class household. Their parents bought them the car, their parents bought them the first house. Like, even though they might still have the same hustle, it's a little bit of a different mentality.
Most of the people I partner with actually have profitable companies. Most people don't understand that. They're struggling how they punch through the ceiling. But their net income, almost all of them, there's a net income there, right? A positive one. I like people that suffered because you're going to have to suffer to scale. And I just truly believe that. You got to put hours in. You got to miss things. There's going to be building blocks that we got to overcome and obstacles. And I do believe people that never suffered, they quit a lot faster. They quit a lot faster. I look at, wrestling. My sons all wrestle, and I think wrestling is the hardest sport besides boxing. I just truly believe that. And the practices make these kids suffer. And they don't care. No other kids in these rooms care that my sons are millionaires and they all want to beat the shit out of my sons. So my sons suffer because my sons are competitive, so they have to go back, right?
Sure.
So I just think the mindset of an entrepreneur that's faced jail at one point in time, that had a drug addiction, an alcohol addiction, they know how to suffer, because to beat those type of addictions, you have to suffer. The pain is so grueling, business becomes easy. I know it sounds crazy, Mark, but I just believe you have to suffer.
Yeah, no, I see it. How old are your kids?
I have a 34-year-old son, 10, he'll be 11 next week, and then 10, a 9, and 5. How about you?
I got a 7, a 4, and a 1.5. So
Nothing
2 boys, 1 little girl. I know it's all boys. Yeah. It's we always joke, we're like, man, why didn't we have her first? Life is so easy. she's like the gem, but she's got protective brothers. Is there a different mentality that you put forth on like your older son, like the one that's like 34, as opposed to the younger ones? Like, if you look back and go, okay, this is my wealth, this is who I am, and you're probably going to lead to know where I'm talking about this. It's like, here's this, I'm quite wealthy, and my kids probably don't even have to work because it could just I can give them some of the shares and away they go in their lives based on what I've done in my life. But the ones that are younger, as opposed to 34, was there like a different training method or something that you would teach on your kids that are younger as opposed to the older one? Like how do you train?
I didn't know, full transparency, I had an older son. I found out when he was 21, about 13, 14 years ago.
Oh, okay.
He told me on Facebook. I was with his mom one time. Nice woman, one time, lifeguard at the pool. So I didn't raise him.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I didn't raise him. And she's a great person. I can't say a bad word about her. It is what it is. She never told me. But to answer your question directly, he works in real estate. He's his own man. He lives in one of my buildings. My oldest son, LJ, does have it a lot harder than his 2 other brothers. And, my job is to make him a leader, so when I'm dead, he takes care of the rest of his brothers and his mother. And we talk about that a lot. And yes, I do believe you have to groom the oldest child to My son's 10 years old. He'll be 11. He can read a P&L inside now. He understands it. I talked to him about school making employees. School makes people comfortable. They tell you first take security. And there is no real security in life. And I try and tell people that, cops, they can do mass layoffs and you lose your job. Teachers, they do there is no security. The only security you are ever going to have in life is what you provide for yourself and the value that you bring to the table every day for yourself. So I just have a very different opinion. But yes, I put a lot of pressure on my oldest that, rightfully so or not, I just do.
If I was someone that had a business and, you were talking about the buying and selling and everything as well too, but I want to get more into real estate. Good thing, bad thing?
Real estate's made more multimillionaires in America than anything else. Why would you not go into real estate?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm all for it. I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate on someone like that.
I hear people say, don't buy real estate. Now, listen, I wouldn't advise, this is a liability. My house is not an asset, right? It's a liability, right? I just haven't had the cash to pay for it. Now, I could have kept and rented something and put $8 million. I'm $4 million. I bought the land and property, 4.2. I put another $4 million into the house property. I could have took that and bought apartments that cash flowed and made money for me. That would have appreciated. But I understood I wanted to give my kids. I knew what I did. I said, okay, not everything is business. My home is the only thing that's not business in my life, believe it or not, in my family. So my home was, I'm going to buy it, but I'm never going to lose money here. Right. In 20 years, this thing's going to be worth $10 million still. Right. So
sure.
But think about all the enjoyment we have, the fishing, the playing, the friends, the pools, the barbecue. So, but yes, I believe real estate. I own a lot of real estate. I'm buying more real estate. It's hard to find right now.
Apartment buildings, commercial properties, houses, where's your...
I buy now is MX. I made mistakes. I bought I shouldn't made mistakes. I made money from it. So
sure.
But you just get wiser, right? You keep dialing it in. Everything I do now is multifamily or MX2, meaning commercial downstairs, residential upstairs.
Smart. Do you have, let's say someone like myself goes, okay, this is what I want to look into. Is there someone that is advising you? Do you have someone on the side, or is that something that you're just always hustling and looking out for? You must have so many different employees or assistants and people that are finding half this stuff for you, but it probably wasn't always like that.
I have different partners in multiple real estate deals. It's just, the one thing I'm fortunate for is I have liquidity, right? So I can't go out and look at real estate. I've the last 9 properties I bought, I've never even went to.
Right.
Still never been to. It's just all KPI driven.
Right. What would you, as some final thoughts and everything else, what would you tell someone moving forward? Some key pointers to focus on. I know we talked about some key points on keys to success of what you've learned and everything, but what would you want to tell someone like myself that is, still trying to build it, still trying to hustle out? What are some of the things that you tell people in a room that just need to...
Life's real simple. You can build your dream or build someone else's dream. Both answers are correct. You can build your dream or build someone else's.
Right.
And I look at it this way. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, until you truly make it and you're worth 9 figures or close. Now, even let's just say you're worth 40, 50 million, you're going to have a good life, right? Let's just be realistic here, right? I do think the minimum number has to be to get worth 20, 25 million. You're going to have to grind like there's no tomorrow. Because if you're worth 20, 25 million, you're going to live a good life for your family, Mark. Makes sense? So there's levels to this thing, right? But I say to somebody, go all in. If you read my book, I'm just an all-in mentality guy. It doesn't make a difference. You just have to be all in, morning, noon, night. And people are like, don't you have hobbies? You golf? No, I don't golf. Oh, you do a lot of business golfing. I'm sure I could, but no, I'm not wasting 5 hours. Oh, you don't play basketball? No, I don't play basketball. Oh, you don't go to bars with your friends anymore? No, I don't. And not that I don't miss those things. I do. I'm a human being. But you have to be so disciplined, obsessed. You have to be extreme to be elite. And I just truly believe that. So if you want to build a business, you got to be extreme.
Discipline. That's probably one of my biggest takeaways, especially for to having you on the show. Lance, this has been amazing. I feel like we could go on totally different, more tangents about business, and I really like to. I just like almost want to like hang up and go, okay, how do I get you on for 50%? Like, let's take my company, a $20 million company, and then let's go buy like 2 or 3 more and get you on the Canada market. Even though our dollars were shit, we'll still figure something out and make it work. So thank you so much
for having me. I appreciate being here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. And for everybody else, check us out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and until the next time.
Hi, I'm Mark Hirschi with Salmon's Moving and Storage. Today, I want to talk about tying up training. Why? Because this is Netflix grade quality training. It's not those old videos and VHSs that you got hiding in your office somewhere. It's online, it's easy to use, they're short videos, but they get to the point. My new employees, these guys run through these training programs, there's tests at the end, and they're coming out going, oh, I'm ready to rock. So if you haven't checked out Tying Up Training yet, get a demo done, get on board. Guess what else is there? Online portals for my sales staff. Can you believe it? These guys can learn how to overcome objections and book more leads today. So what are you waiting for? Go check out Tying Up Training today.